you can rectify many things with pudding. £45 on a monthly shop.
Oh my goodness.
£45.
£45.
Yeah.
Can I ask, have you ever actually had a fail when you're actually at a client's house? Welcome to The Kitchen Tales, the podcast that relates to the food industry and our personal journeys. And I'm Rhona from Time Home Cook.
And I'm Colline, and I'm really happy to be here. This week has been quite funny because I've had a few kitchen fails, Rhona.
Oh my goodness, I don't know where to start with, mine.
Yeah, and I mean, it happens all the time, but I've just felt really like my head has just been all over the place quite recently. And I was trying to make a cake. I mean, I've done this once or twice before, but this time I was making a cake and I forgot to put the eggs in the cake. You can make a cake without eggs because I make vegan cakes all the time. But you know, when you're making a cake, there's like a formula to it. You need to put a certain amount of the oil or the butter, and it was just when the cake did not even rise, and it just...
Oh, no.
And just having to redo everything. And then I was trying to make a dish for us at home. My kids like baked beans. I think most kids like baked beans. They always want baked beans on their side. Apparently got the wrong one. I got one that had like some little sausages in it, and they don't like the little sausages. I'm just like, all these kitchen fails. So it just got me thinking, have you had some kitchen fails before? Or is it just me who's just being really silly and just making all these fails?
My memory can be really bad sometimes. Yeah. So when you're just talking about a cake, I just suddenly thought, I made a cake and I was thinking, have I actually put sugar in this cake? Yeah. And of course you can't try the cake, can you? Because you can't do a little taste when it's cooked because it's coming out.
It's coming out, exactly.
So then I have to put it aside and actually make another one to actually, But I mean, pavlova's being flat because I have maybe got some water in the bowl, or the whisk isn't dry, or the egg's not, room temperature. That's another one. But I do find that a lot of the times I forget whether I've actually put an ingredient in.
Yes, I think that's the same with me as well. Yes. That's usually where I make some of my mistakes. That's why, when you're baking, I know you can bake with like plain flour and then add baking powder. I've always forgot, so when I make my cakes, I just use self-raising flour because that's already done for me, and it just eliminates some of the things that I might forget. And I just have to worry about making sure everything else is on point. The kitchen fails, I mean, they happen to the best of us. And that's some of the most natural things that can happen, right?
Can I ask, have you ever actually had a fail when you're actually at a client's house?
Yes. But I have. The trick, though, is making sure, first of all, you don't alarm the client and they don't think that something has actually gone wrong. But yes, that has happened to me before. The first one was actually when I was making some food and I thought that I turned on the hob. So I was making some rice. I think the hob is on. I had all my timings perfectly timed. And I was very confident in saying, yes, I know how to use your hob. It's all good. No, I did not know how to use it. And I turned on the wrong switch and the hob had not been on for about 20 minutes.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So that was a big, massive fail. But, there's a way where you can be able to just I managed to find ways of delaying things. We were also doing some drinks. So we got them a little bit more drinks and then managed to make up the time that way. But all these fails, they're just part of business and they're part of being human, because all this food is being made with a lot of love. We are making it. We're human. We can make some mistakes. But I think the thing is just being able to rectify it, and also sometimes just being able to say, listen, this is what is going on, and finding a solution to it, rather than just saying, I've made this mistake but there is no solution. Then it doesn't make any sense. Have you done that at a client's house or when you're not in your own kitchen?
So yes, I have, Colleen, but I was unable to rectify it. So I had a day, it was a lunch and also an evening supper It was for a shoot, and I was out on a field doing a lovely paella lunch, and actually the lunch went absolutely perfectly. Everyone came up to me and said how wonderful it was. It was great, really enjoyed it. And it was a very hot day, I remember that as well. But in the evening, it didn't go quite so well. Yeah. So before we had the lunch, paella lunch, I was cooking a slow cooked. It was either a lamb or a pork. And I put it in the oven to cook whilst I was up, doing the lunch. And it was slow cooking all day. It was too high.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear. And the meat was just, I was looking at, when you look at it and you think, is this going to be all right?
It's going to be right.
Is it okay? Does it look that burnt?
Yeah.
Oh, it's awful. I mean, it was awful. I was shaking. I didn't know what to, I couldn't do anything. I could not do anything. They were just, and they had their starter, lovely starter. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And then I produced this meat, and I was just like, it went out, but I don't think it was as bad as I
you
think.
thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and you can't, when it's slow cooked meat, you can't make it look pretty because you can't put garnish on it.
Exactly.
That's not right.
Yes.
I had to serve it. I just couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything
anyone
else.
Did you have any complaints, or did you have any of them
Not on the evening. And then they had a lovely
just
pudding.
No compliments.
Just no compliments. No, they did actually. I did actually have some people saying, "Oh, that was absolutely delicious."
So there you go.
But in my heart, I knew that it was not right.
My standards.
Yeah. And I do have high standards.
Yes.
You have high standards. We want everything to go right.
Absolutely.
And, we are a perfectionist at the end of the day. But when you're on site, and that's why I like to, in the last podcast, we were talking about menu planning and everything. Yes. And that's why I need to do a lot of it at home to make sure I can rectify what has gone wrong.
What has gone wrong,
No, it doesn't happen too much.
It doesn't happen too much, but
we're human.
That happened, exactly. And I think it's one of those things, especially if you got pudding, you can rectify many things with pudding. So if you have something delicious for them to look forward to afterwards, it always solves a lot of things. But I think it just reminded me again. And I think a lot of the reasons why sometimes where some mistakes might happen or there might be a few fails, is because either you're really tired, it's been a really busy week, or maybe you've become too relaxed. Yes. I mean, it's sometimes a combination of things, but for me personally, a lot of the times is when I've actually just been so busy, which is why now I've actually made a rule for myself. When I'm working on a job, if it's going to be a certain big event, I won't do more than one in a day. Because before, we talked before about just taking anything, I won't do that ever again. I won't do that because it does compromise your time and the effort that you can actually put in. So this is why, when I contact clients and I speak to them, which is why, it's so important for people to book ahead of time. Because you might be busy on that day and you're not able to do it. It's not that I can't do it. I might be able to, but I don't want to compromise and you guys getting half of my time, when really it should be 100%, so that I put my all into everything that I'm doing. So I think for myself, we set a number of events I don't take on too much anymore, because I think some of my fails were just because of that. So this week, I just had a lot going on at home. I was doing too many things and trying to do everything in a rush. So planning, still working on it, guys.
Still working on it. You're getting better. You're getting better.
Getting so much better.
Yes.
And I'm making sure that and because of how visual I am, we now have a board in the kitchen where we've got all the events that are written down on there, because I'm very digital. I like having things on my phone, because I know so many people have got diaries and stuff like that.
Diary. Yeah. I can't do a phone diary.
Yeah, and that's what most people are.
Yes, I have to see it.
For me, it's on my phone, and then it sort of sets reminders. And I grew up with my mum, who wrote everything. I remember a lot of her diaries. She even used to write her budget at the back of the diary for each month. So we were actually talking about it when she was last here, that she's got some of her budgets that she was doing back in 2004, 2005. And she used to spend £45 on a monthly shop.
Oh my goodness.
£45.
£45. Yeah. And that was
£45. That was a big shop.
That was a big shop.
And because we started talking about it, because she said she'd gone to Tesco I mean, I think I mentioned last time, she now lives in Zimbabwe, and she'd come here to visit, and she went to Tesco. She came back, she's like, I'm holding the things. I didn't even need a bag. And all this stuff just cost me £45. She was holding like 3 or 4 things. She's like, I used to spend this on a month shop because I would know that I'll get this, and maybe go to the butcher's. But all your basics, now, I mean, the amount of money we spend on food.
Yes. Yeah, everything is so expensive now.
It's become so expensive.
And we want to use good ingredients, of course, as well.
We do.
I see,
compromise on the quality.
We had this conversation about chocolate. When chocolate is just going through the roof.
Like, so expensive. Yes. I was buying the Calabar chocolate. So I'd buy it in 2.5 kilogram bags. When I started the business, I remember mourning so much at how expensive it was. I think a 2.5 kilogram bag was £15.50. That same 2.5 kilogram bag, £38. Yes. £38 that I got it last week. And it's just like, it's so disheartening because you can't pass on that cost to the clients. Because, a piece of brownie would be like close to £10 if I passed on every single cost. Yes. So just trying to make things work. But I always remind people that the same way that you guys have seen the prices going up in the supermarket, we feel that too. It's not like we've got these special prices that we get, especially for certain things like the chocolate, dairy products.
The dairy, the eggs,
we're spending exactly the same amount that you guys are. So it really is. And I think like a lot of people need to be a bit mindful when somebody's giving you their prices and just saying, these are my costs. They've taken all that into consideration, because I tried to do a shop, the same shop that I'd done when I first started my business, because I found a receipt. It was a really small shop, and I'd actually gone to Tesco. I bought a few things, and they cost me about £28. I went into Tesco. This was last year. I went into Tesco and I bought the same things, and they cost me £46. Exactly the same things. And this was considering all the club card differences and all of that. I was like, that's insane.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Yes.
So I can't have my prices that I was having in 2019. I can't be charging the same prices now. We're in 2025. So I think, that's one of the biggest and hardest things I think about running business, pricing.
It is, the pricing.
How do you find it?
I find it very difficult, and I think we talk quite a bit about, each other's, how we price it, because, sometimes I don't want to be too expensive, I don't want to be too low, it's got to work. But I do find the costing sort of side difficult, and I try, and I want to use the same ingredients, but sometimes I do have to, change it. But that would be a minimal, thing. I still want to use butter in all my in my cakes.
Yes.
So I do, but it would just be. Maybe a vanilla essence might be a supermarket brand than a more expensive one, which you wouldn't even notice. No. But that's minimal. That's absolutely minimal. But we've got to pass our costs on. But then,
but you have to be mindful, because you might not get business.
Yes.
And I think another thing that I noticed as well is even some of the manufacturers, how they've changed not just their pricing. Because I remember whenever I'm making vegan products, I really like the brand Flora. So when they first came out, I'm pretty sure their Flora butter was 250 grams. Because I knew whenever I was making a certain recipe, I used to use that 250 grams, all good. And I didn't notice they changed it to 200 now. So I was paying like 20, 30p more, but they've actually got the weight is now lower. Yes. And I'm like, something's happened with my recipe. What did I do? I was scratching my head. Did I make a mistake? No, they just changed the quantity. And it's just like, come on, guys. So a lot of that happens. And so again, not just thinking about how to change up our business, it's thinking about the costings, how we are costing things, how we are pricing things. And it's one of the hardest part about running a business.
Yes. And then you go to restaurants as well. they are very, very, very expensive. Now, we're not expensive as the restaurants, but still, but,
it is,
yeah. So I do see that actually you go to restaurants now, and actually it's more of the special occasions that are in there. You do not pop out for, let's go and get some lunch.
Yes.
Well,
not as often.
But not as often.
Nope.
I do tend to.
Yeah. So have you eaten anywhere locally recently?
We went to the Coat and Bear with some friends and my children and some of their friends and mums, and we went to the Coat and Bear, and that was delicious. And it's local. I like to use the go to the local restaurants, and they've got offers on as well. I think we got a 25% discount.
Oh, amazing! That's good.
And we'd like it. It's nice. And I think we went to the Jack Russell.
Yes,
as well.
I like the Jack Russell.
That's one of our favourite pubs.
Do you know what? I hadn't been, because everyone used to talk about the Jack Russell, and Z and I went to the Jack Russell last year. It was our first time, and we've been talking about it. That might be what we do this weekend.
Yes.
Go to the Jack Russell, because I think it's such a fantastic pub, and just the setting as well where it is. If it's a lovely day, being able to sit outside and enjoy it, and you can really tell that a lot of love and care has gone into everything that they make. And I think that's one thing what a lot of people don't realize. They think that if you cook, you probably don't go to restaurants, or you don't, but we love eating out too.
Yes, I want to see what they're making, what we're eating. And it's all local as well. So all like the venison and everything's locally sourced, and the staff are great out there as well.
Okay, I think that's our plan for the weekend.
Yes, I think you should go there. Yes,
and for me recently, I went to, there's I think it's Turkish. Yeah, it's a Turkish place that just opened on Bartholomew Street in town. It's called Enzo's, sort of like opposite. There's a place called Tiny Town. My daughter loves Tiny Town. There's opposite. Yeah, there's a Turkish cafe that opened called Enzo's. That was really nice. And again, it's like a local family-run business. And because we now have quite a few Turkish places in town.
Yes, and I haven't tried one, so I must.
Enzo's, I really highly recommend it. So it's literally just by where the church is, St. Nicholas's church is, just on the corner. Just right by the corner there. Okay. So that was really nice. A really nice surprise as well. And speaking to the people that are in there, you can really tell a lot of people have put a lot of love, a lot of thought, and just bringing some of the culture into play. And it makes you realize that, when you've gone somewhere that's not as authentic, you get to see the difference of like the authentic side when the food is being made by people that come from that country. And I genuinely really appreciate that. When something's like, okay, you've gone to a Turkish place, or you've gone to, a Nigerian restaurant or something, and knowing that the owners are from that country, it's like they're using recipes that they've cooked, that have been passed on from generations. It's just a really nice feeling. Yeah, because I have lots of people asking me, like, would you ever open a restaurant? My answer is no. I now know, running a cafe, just what it takes to be able to run like a place like that. So it's not really for me, but I always think, if I could, what would I do? And I think it's always like just going back to your roots, or like, I know from you, like living in the country, it's all about the fresh ingredients, using really good local ingredients, probably like doing a bit of foraging or something like that.
Yes.
Speaking of that, do you ever forage? Is that something you've done before?
So recently it was the wild garlic season. So I was, I was out, and I made some pesto with some garlic, and you put it on some salmon and some meat, and it's delicious.
It's so good, isn't it? I do really like wild garlic. I wish the season was longer, and I'm never able to get enough to last me like the rest of the year.
Freeze it.
Yes.
You can freeze it.
Yeah, someone mentioned that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I do is I make the pesto, and actually I make it with all my, the standard, the basil pesto. You just get an ice cube tray, divide it, put it into the tray.
That's a great trick,
into the freezer. Pop it out as and when you need it.
Amazing. Okay.
Is that a good tip?
I wonder if there's still some wild garlic out there, so I can do that.
You do it with your basil.
With basil, exactly. I do with the basil pesto. Exactly.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm just trying to think what else is in season now.
Elderflower. So that's starting to come out round us. Now, I've only ever made elderflower cordial once. Actually, it was too sweet.
Was it too sweet?
Yes. But
that's my all-time favorite. Everyone that knows me, they know that even if I go to a restaurant, like I know I do the Belvoir. Apparently, it's pronounced beaver. I recently found out. I haven't
called it that.
Apparently it's called beaver. I think we're going to have to ask the people from Belvoir, beaver, what is the pronunciation?
I mean, yes.
I call it Belvoir, but apparently it's beaver.
Okay.
Yeah, Belvoir.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where I found it, but apparently it's pronounced beaver. So now that I know it's in season, I'm going to have to come around near you and actually pick some elderflower. Yeah. And somebody told me, one of my friends, Sophie, she every single year she always then gets the elderberries and then she makes her own elderberry. She's one person that I never known to get sick, so she gets it and then she actually makes her own elderberry, and then she has that throughout the end of summer, throughout winter. She just has a teaspoon a day and she never gets sick. So that's another trick. So that's why I wanted to find those elderflowers and then get the berries and then make that. Hopefully we can ward off all the winter bugs.
We've got so much around us. Well, in August it will be blackberries. And, we've got a lot around us. So it's
what is the thing that because I realize, like, for me, other than just having it as a fruit or maybe adding it to a porridge, my kids love porridge, adding it to porridge, or maybe on when I make pavlovas, when it's like summertime. What else do you use blackberries for?
Crumbles.
Yeah, I've never made a blackberry crumble. I can't believe it. Colline. I know, right?
It's one of the first things I make.
Really?
When the blackberries.
Wow.
Blackberry and apple crumble.
I always just do apple crumble.
Your children would love that.
Okay. All right. See, I've got so many things to try.
Yes.
Okay.
What else did I made a posset for a dinner, which was blackberry and sloe gin.
Ooh,
that was delicious.
That sounds yummy.
I made it quite boozy.
Yes.
But it was quite good.
Everyone likes quite a boozy dessert.
Yeah, I didn't make the sloe gin.
I need to experiment more with blackberries because I think that's one of the things that I really want to do now, and because we really live close to where the common is. So Greenham Common, and there's blackberries everywhere. So just taking the kids on our walk and being able to pick. And I think if you have kids, when they're able to pick what they're going to be eating and then making it with them as well, it's just one of the most loveliest things. One of the first things that my son made, because I like some lavender. So we walked somewhere and we found some lavender, and someone had given me like a shortbread recipe with lavender. I mean, lavender is very... If you use too much, it can then seem like you're using like a toilet product or something. So you have to use it very gently. But that was one of the first things I ever made with my son. And to this day, so he was like 2.5 then, maybe 3, he still remembers that. So I think that's another way of making memories, especially when kids are off on school holidays and things like that.
Yes.
It's just a good way to make memories, making stuff that is in season with them.
Yes. I've never tried lavender in a dish, and I know it would be very. Yes, I suppose you don't use very much.
Very subtle. Yeah. So I think I'll send you a few recipes because I've seen like a few local people that go foraging, and I know the guys at the Goat on the Roof. So Patrick and Sam, they go foraging quite a lot. So I've seen like quite recently they've just been foraging, getting a few things and stuff like that. I think, there's a lot of things that I want to do living near the countryside where we just need to take advantage of.
And of course, you got another one is wild mushrooms.
Yes.
Round by us.
Again, okay, that's good to know.
So, yes.
'Cause I've always been a bit scared of mushrooms.
But then you do have to be careful.
Exactly.
You've got to know your mushrooms, obviously.
You really have to know your mushrooms.
Yes.
Because, so I probably need to have someone that knows what they're doing.
Yes, I think so. Not me, maybe.
Because I'll be that one person. Yeah, and I think I've seen, I don't know where I've seen this. I'll have to find it. There are some people that, like, as part of their job, they actually take people on... foraging trips. So you actually go walking and then you do foraging. They're explaining all the different things that you can use for your cooking and stuff like that. Yeah, I think I'm adding more things to my bucket list, aren't I?
Well, Mulvleys.
Things that I want to do,
You know Mulvleys?
Yeah, Mulvleys.
Mulvleys. So they did one foraging.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Oh,
no, I didn't go on it. But they often do.
Oh, right, okay.
They often do these, these courses or a garden tour or...
okay, we need to have a look at that.
Yeah, it's worth looking.
So it's just looking, we have so much locally now, don't we?
We do. We have a lot on our doorstep.
On our doorstep.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the beauties of that I really like about living where we live here in West Berkshire, because I grew up, when I came to the UK, I grew up in Northampton, and maybe there were things in Northampton, because I think a lot of the stuff, it depends with your age as well. I think now I've got like an appreciation for things maybe when I was like in my late teens, early 20s, I probably didn't appreciate. But now it's all about what is local that I can actually take advantage of, so that I'm not having to travel to London, I'm not going elsewhere. I just feel like I have an appreciation of everything that's local to us now. And just, being able to appreciate it. Yeah.
We have a lot on our doorstep, don't we, really?
We really do.
Yes.
So I think it's time to close our podcast, and I have to ask you. So every single podcast, anyone who's listening or watching us, we ask each other what we're having for dinner. So this is a segment for us to give each other inspiration, to give you guys that are watching and listening inspiration, so that you can just think about what you can add to your dinners and your menus, whether you're making them yourself, maybe you want to order at a local restaurant. We're always recommending people to support other local businesses. So Rhona, what are you having for dinner tonight?
So we were talking about the garlic pesto.
Yes.
Well, actually, it's not the garlic pesto. I'm actually doing basil pesto.
Yeah.
But pesto out the freezer, because I'll just pop it out, and I'm having salmon. So it's just poached salmon. Yeah. I like to top it off. I don't like to have just the standard salmon. I like to have it smoked. Oh. So I go for the smoke, and then I'm topping it and cooking it. So it's literally put it in the oven for 10 minutes. I've made the pesto. You can, if you wanted to do it yourself, you could buy the pesto. So very quick and easy, and then I'm just going to serve it. I'm just going to serve it with some rice. Oh, nice! Yeah, and some vegetables. Ooh, whatever I can find in the fridge.
Yes, we do that often. Yes, like use up what you have in the fridge and then make up something.
Yes. How about you?
For me, I'm actually food tasting for a client that are having an event in September. So we're hoping that the sun will still be shining. And I've been making this lovely salad, which is sweet potato. It's got some chickpeas. It's got some red pepper. I think I'm going to do a video showing people how to do this, because I think this whole summer everyone needs this salad in their life. And this couple are actually vegan, so I'm going to be adding some smoked tofu to it. So I just want to see how all the flavors are going to be balancing each other. So we're going to have that for our dinner, and just have just that salad, because it is a salad, but because it's so hearty, you can pretty much have it as a main meal. So that's what we're having, and I'll be showing some of you guys how to make this salad on my social media. So look out for us on Kitchen Tales, and also look out for our social media. So for me, Colline, you can find me at Colline's Kitchen on Instagram. How about you, Rhona?
Thank you. And you can find me, Rhona, at time_homecook.
Thank you. See you next time.